Hello everyone and welcome to another game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from Kelorn. You might know him because he is one of the creators of the Warships Podcast, and I will link to his work in the video description. Now he is in the Scharnhorst, the Tier 7 German premium battleship. He's on the map Two Brothers in a 4-point domination game mode. It's a Tier 7 battle. And there is one carrier, 3 destroyers. So overall a diverse mix of ships. Now here in the beginning he is going towards Point Delta. And since he spawned at this side of the map, that makes a lot of sense. The team is splitting up. There are not that many ships going towards the left side. Though it's possible that the force here on the left will have to retreat pretty soon. Let's hope that the destroyer here will go on ahead and scout. Now on this side it looks like the friendly destroyers are already in the cap circle and they found an enemy destroyer. Now the Scharnhorst is quite efficient at dealing with destroyers for a battleship because of the fast firing guns. Now let's see if he can get a few hits here. I think this kamikaze is slowing down and he is trying to evade. Unfortunately that kamikaze got away for now. He is now hiding in smoke, but there are friendly destroyers in there who are contesting the cap. And well, looks like he is switching to the war spy. The destroyer is unspotted again, so it's only a small window of opportunity there. And now he can hide in the smoke of the friendly destroyers. Well, there are torpedoes incoming, which is to be expected, but he should be able to avoid those. And unfortunately, the enemy's got one of the friendly destroyers. Now he is in the cap circle here, the other destroyer is retreating. The Scharnhorst is certainly a very good battleship to be at the front lines. Now, of course, his advantage right here is the smoke. And we see a nice citadel here against the enemy Yoko. The problem is that there are enemy destroyers still around and he has no way of detecting them. He has no way to see them in the smoke. Would be helpful if there were friendly ships with hydro or radar here, but somebody spotted the kamikaze. The friendly carrier was around with his dive bombers, and with the kamikaze visible, the friendly team will hopefully be able to take her out. Now there is a friendly cruiser here helping out. Unfortunately they kind of collided here a bit. Kelorn was most likely trying to maneuver to dodge torpedoes, but it looks like he is doing so very effectively anyway. And well, friendly Atlanta detonated the enemy kamikaze. Now I'm sure the kamikaze would have gone down shortly anyway, but probably pretty frustrating for him. And well, that means that 2 enemy destroyers on this side of the map are gone. You know, the only other enemy destroyer is at Point Alpha. And now the friendly team has to worry a lot less about torpedoes here. I mean, this Miyoko would have had torpedoes, but he is gone now as well. And Kelorn can just continue to cap and push against those battleships. Now you can see there are some friendly ships that are quite passive around here. If you have the advantage at a capture point, you want to press the advantage, and if you have a disadvantage, you might want to retreat and delay. Now the team on the left side is doing a great job in delaying. Unfortunately, the enemies here are delaying quite a bit as well, and there is an airstrike incoming. Now I assume he is focusing the torpedo bombers. Keep in mind that in a replay you don't see if people select the manual target for their anti-air. And yeah, those torpedo bombers are going down nicely. They managed to drop off. He will take one torpedo here, but one torpedo isn't that bad. What's a lot worse is that those torpedoes forced him to show broadsides to enemy battleships. Now with the torpedoes gone, he will now try to angle better, but well, if the enemy ships can catch him while he is still broadside on, and it looks like the Warspite just did, it hurts quite a lot. Now as a Scharnhorst, he wants to get close towards the enemy. He has torpedoes. He has very nice armor. And I mean, the guns on the Scharnhorst might be low caliber, but they'll have no problem penetrating New York showing broadside. So the New York is not a very maneuverable ship, which means it should not be too hard to land some torpedo hits once he gets a bit closer. The New York here is angling pretty well, but what's the New York gonna do? Now he's launching his torpedoes towards the Warspite. Unlikely that those torpedoes will hit, but one never knows. Now with one threat dealt with, he can angle towards the Warspite and chase her down. He still has his torpedo tubes loaded on the other side. So if he gets close enough, he is still able to launch a torpedo strike, but it's always hard to catch someone with torpedoes who is running away from you. Now he's switching here to high explosive. The Warspite is angling, although the Warspite has to show broadside now because of the torpedoes. But he decided to go for fires to bring the Warspite down. Well, I mean, the Warspite is almost down. So, yeah, that's one cap secured. And the friendly team is in a pretty big lead. Now, also a friendly ship taking the Bravo cap here. There isn't really anyone to stop him, except maybe the carrier. The majority of the enemy ships that are still around are going for the Charlie cap. And Kelorn will do so as well. Oh, we are speeding the video up a little bit. He is basically just driving towards Point Charlie here, and well, it's unlikely he's encountering anyone anytime soon. So I'll take this time to point out that shipcomrade.com has an update for its Captain Skill Calculator. I'll have a separate video about that today. And you can now vote for builds and share your builds, so it's awesome. And it looks like the enemies are going to try to capture Charlie here. Now the friendly defense just failed and there is a cyclone going, so it will be hard to spot whoever's in there. It might just be a battleship. So I guess the enemies could turn it around in a cyclone. There might just be one-on-one matches if the enemy team decides one at a time. But it's not looking good for the enemies. And pretty soon he might be able to see who is in the cap circle. And yeah, the enemy team successfully managed to take the cap, but well, unfortunately this Graf Spee was sitting broadside on and Scharnhorst appeared. So, yep. Now it looks like all enemy ships are between Alpha and Charlie. Now they aren't very aggressively coming in this direction. I'm not exactly sure what the battleships enemy battleships are doing back there, but maybe they're having a picnic. There is a very nice torpedo strike coming for the Arizona. But she is still floating. Now the Atlanta seems to be making a push here, probably trying to get a nice torpedo salvo. But I mean, it's an Atlanta, and it's an Atlanta, he is very vulnerable, but he succeeded. So nicely done. Only 3 enemies remaining. This match is pretty much already a win. I can't see the enemies coming back from this one. And look at that, it's 2 top tier battleships at nearly full health. And the Atlanta is trying it again, but this time he got taken out before he managed to get close. And this Nagato is kind enough to show broadside. I suppose the Emerald is trying to get some torpedoes in to get a little bit more damage done before the game's finished. And if not, I'm sure Kelorn will be more than happy to use his own torpedoes. Now the Colorado is not a very maneuverable ship. He is in a bad spot and he is eating a lot of torpedoes. Now the Emerald didn't quite finish off the Colorado, but Kelorn is more than happy to do so himself. And that leaves the Carrier and the Nagato remaining. Now, point-wise, this game will be over pretty soon, so it's a limited window of opportunity to sink the Nagato before the game is won. But considering how this Nagato is sailing, I guess torpedoes will do the trick. And I assume many friendly ships thought the same thing. And there is the win. Let's take a look at the results. Kelorn managed to get himself 2,657 base experience, sunk 5 enemy ships and shot down 14 enemy planes. And he played this rather nicely. He pushed aggressively in the beginning and he helped to take that cap. Having an aggressive battleship can be very helpful in taking a capture point. It can also be rather risky, but he had support from the destroyers, he had some smoke there, and it worked out perfectly. And then he just turned around and finished off some other tier 7 battleships who, I guess, didn't know a Scharnhorst has torpedoes. Now Kelorn got himself Dreadnought, Kraken and High Caliber. Scored 198,000 points of damage. And yeah, it was an enjoyable battle to watch. I always like if a battleship can push aggressively and show the world that it works in the right circumstances. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this as well. And if you haven't already, check out Kelorn's Warships Podcast. It's worth it. So I'll see you guys next time.